The fall of Nova Prime. The twin suns of the Helios system cast a golden glow over the bustling streets of New Haven, the capital city of Nova Prime. Children laughed as they chased each other through the park, their parents watching from nearby benches. Hover cars zipped between towering skyscrapers, their sleek designs a testament to human ingenuity. It was hard to believe that just 3 generations ago, this thriving world had been nothing more than a barren rock at the edge of explored space. Dr. Elena Reyes stood on her apartment balcony, sipping her morning coffee as she admired the view. At 45, she was one of the leading xenobiologists on Nova Prime, dedicated to studying the unique flora and fauna that had evolved on this alien world. Her daughter Zara, only 8 years old, was already showing signs of following in her footsteps. Mom, look what I found. Zara burst onto the balcony, her dark curls bouncing with excitement. In her hands, she held a small, iridescent creature that looked like a cross between a butterfly and a jellyfish. Elena smiled, kneeling to examine her daughter's discovery. That's amazing, sweetheart. It looks like a new species of aerial plankton. Where did you find it? Before Zara could answer, a deafening roar filled the air. Elena looked up, her eyes widening in shock as she saw the sky darkening with massive ships. They were unlike anything she had ever seen, organic-looking vessels that seemed to pulse with an eerie purple light. Zara, get inside. Now. Elena's voice was calm but firm as she ushered her daughter back into the apartment. She rushed to the comm panel, her fingers flying over the controls as she tried to contact the Nova Prime Defense Force. Static filled the air, punctuated by bursts of panicked chatter. Unknown vessels, weapons charged, no response to hails. Suddenly, the entire building shook as explosions rocked the city. Elena grabbed Zara, holding her close as they watched in horror as beams of sickly green energy lanced down from the alien ships, tearing through buildings and vaporizing anything they touched. We need to get to the shelter, Elena said, her mind racing. She had always known this day might come. Humanity's expansion into the stars had been met with eerie silence from other civilizations. Now it seemed they had finally made contact in the worst possible way. As they rushed down the emergency stairwell, joining the flood of panicked residents, Elena's comm unit buzzed. It was a priority message from the Nova Prime government. Attention all citizens. We are under attack by an unknown alien force. This is not a drill. Proceed immediately to your nearest designated shelter. May God have mercy on us all. The streets were chaos. Debris rained down as buildings crumbled under the relentless assault. Elena clutched Zara's hand tightly as they ran, dodging abandoned vehicles and fleeing crowds. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of ozone from energy weapons. They were just 2 blocks from the nearest shelter when Elena saw them, the invaders. Towering, insectoid creatures with multiple limbs and chitinous armor. They moved with terrifying speed and precision, firing weapons that seemed to be a grotesque fusion of organic and mechanical technology. Halt, humans. The alien's voice was a harsh, clicking sound that somehow formed recognizable words. Elena froze, pushing Zara behind her protectively. The alien soldier approached, its compound eyes gleaming with an intelligence that sent chills down Elena's spine. You will submit to the will of the Galactic Empire. Resistance is futile. Elena's scientific mind raced, analyzing every detail of the creature before her. But her maternal instincts overrode everything else. In one fluid motion, she scooped up Zara and bolted down an alleyway, her heart pounding in her ears. The sound of chittering and heavy footsteps told her the Zarketh were in pursuit. Elena's legs burned as she pushed herself to run faster than she ever had before. Zara clung to her, face buried in her mother's shoulder. They emerged onto another street, and for a moment, Elena thought they might make it. The shelter was just ahead, its reinforced doors standing open as the last civilians rushed inside. Then a searing pain tore through Elena's leg. She stumbled, nearly dropping Zara as she fell to one knee. Looking back, she saw the Zarketh soldier, its weapon trained on them. "Zara, run." Elena pushed her daughter towards the shelter. "Run and don't look back." Tears streaming down her face, Zara hesitated for just a moment before sprinting towards safety. Elena turned to face the alien, determination etched on her features. She would buy her daughter every second she could. The Zarketh approached, its mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. "Foolish human, your defiance is pointless." Elena glared up at the creature, her voice steady despite the fear and pain coursing through her. "We will never submit. Humanity has faced extinction before, and we've always found a way to survive. You have no idea what you started." The alien raised its weapon, the barrel glowing with building energy. "Your species will learn obedience, or it will be eradicated." As the Zarketh prepared to fire, a small stone struck its head. It turned, revealing Zara standing just outside the shelter, her young face a mask of fury and terror. "Leave my mom alone, you big bug," she shouted, hurling another rock. "No," Elena screamed, but it was too late. The Zarketh, startled by this unexpected attack, fired reflexively. The energy blast caught Zara squarely in the chest, and for a moment, her small body was outlined in sickly green light before crumpling to the ground. The world seemed to stop. Elena's anguished cry echoed through the streets, a sound of pure, primal grief that cut through the chaos of the invasion. Even the Zarketh soldier took a step back, perhaps recognizing on some level the magnitude of what it had just done. As Elena crawled towards her daughter's lifeless body, something changed in the air. The civilians who had witnessed the scene from the shelter emerged, their fear replaced by a cold, terrible rage. Armed with nothing but improvised weapons and righteous fury, they fell upon the Zarketh soldier. The alien's superior technology meant nothing in the face of this human onslaught. It was overwhelmed, torn apart by bare hands and makeshift clubs. As it fell, more civilians poured out of the shelter, their eyes scanning the sky for more invaders, ready to fight with everything they had. Elena cradled Zara's body, her tears falling on her daughter's still face. But even in her grief, she felt something awakening within her, a resolve as hard as steel and as cold as the void of space. She looked up at the roiling sky, at the Zarketh ships that still rained destruction upon her world, and made a silent vow. This was not the end. This was just the beginning. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would fight, they would endure, and they would show these alien invaders exactly what they were capable of when pushed to the brink. As the battle for Nova Prime raged on, news of Zara's death spread like wildfire through the resistance networks that were already forming. Her name became a rallying cry, a symbol of everything humanity stood to lose, and everything they would fight to the last breath to protect. In secret bunkers and hidden laboratories across human space, dust-covered consoles flickered to life. Long-dormant projects were reactivated, and encrypted messages flashed between the stars. The Zarketh had awoken a sleeping giant, and humanity's response would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The fall of Nova Prime marked the end of one era for humanity. But from the ashes of this world, a new chapter would be written, one of defiance, of innovation, and of a species united against a common foe. The Zarketh thought they had found an easy conquest. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Awakening the sleepers. Deep beneath the surface of Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, a facility hung to life for the first time in decades. In a hidden chamber, surrounded by advanced technology that seemed to blend seamlessly with the natural ice formations, Admiral Kira Chen stood before a row of cryopods, her breath misting in the frigid air. "It's time," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Behind her, a team of scientists and military personnel worked feverishly at control panels, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. Dr. Aidan Frost, the lead scientist of Project Phantom, approached the Admiral. His weathered face was grim as he handed her a datapad. The latest reports from Nova Prime, ma'am. It's not good. Kira's eyes scanned the information, her jaw tightening with each line. The Zarketh invasion had spread to 3 more colony worlds. Millions were dead or missing. The combined fleets of Earth and her colonies were putting up a valiant fight, but they were outmatched by the aliens' superior technology and numbers. We should have woken them sooner, Kira muttered, handing the pad back to Aiden. The scientist shook his head. You know we couldn't risk it, Admiral. The Phantoms were our ace in the hole, our last line of defense. If we'd activated them for anything less than an extinction-level threat. I know, Kira sighed. But watching our people die while these soldiers slept, it doesn't sit right. A young lieutenant approached, saluting crisply. Admiral, we're ready to begin the revival process. Kira nodded, squaring her shoulders. Do it. The chamber filled with a low hum as power surged through the cryopods. Frost began to melt away from the transparent covers, revealing the faces of the occupants within. There were 5 pods in total, each containing a figure that looked more like a Greek statue than a living, breathing human. As the revival process continued, Kira approached the first pod. Inside lay a man with close-cropped dark hair and a strong, chiseled jaw. Even in cryo sleep, there was an aura of command about him. Commander Jason Hawk, Aiden said, coming to stand beside the Admiral. The finest tactical mind of his generation. He led the Phantoms on over 50 high-risk missions before they went into Cryo. Kira nodded, moving to the next pod. This one contained a lithe, red-haired woman whose delicate features belied the deadly skill Kira knew she possessed. Lieutenant Alexis Ghost Riley, stealth and infiltration specialist. There wasn't a security system made that could keep her out. The third pod held a mountain of a man, his dark skin marked with intricate tattoos that seemed to shimmer in the blue light. Sergeant Marcus Tank Washington, heavy weapons expert and close-quarters combat specialist. They say he once took down an entire enemy platoon with nothing but his bare hands and a combat knife. In the fourth pod lay a slender Asian man, his fingers twitching slightly as the revival process neared completion. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, xenobiologist and tech expert. His understanding of alien physiology and technology is unparalleled. He's the reason the Phantoms were able to adapt so quickly to new threats. Finally, Kira came to the last pod. Inside was a woman with striking silver hair, her face serene despite the scars that marked her skin. And Captain Lyra Vance, team leader and psionic adept. Her ability to read and influence alien minds made her both our most valuable asset and our greatest potential liability. As Aiden finished his introductions, the pods began to open with a soft hiss. One by one, the Phantoms stirred, their enhanced bodies quickly shaking off the effects of long-term cryo sleep. Commander Hawk was the first to fully awaken, his steel-gray eyes snapping open and immediately focusing on Admiral Chen. He sat up, muscles tensing as he took in his surroundings. "Admiral," he said, his voice gravelly from disuse. "I take it the situation has become critical." Kira nodded grimly. "Commander Hawk, welcome back to the land of the living. I'm afraid humanity needs the Phantoms once again." As the other team members regained consciousness, Kira quickly briefed them on the Zarketh invasion. The Phantoms listened in stoic silence, their enhanced minds rapidly processing the information and formulating strategies. "A whole species of bugs that need squashing," Sergeant Washington growled, cracking his massive knuckles. "Just point us in the right direction, Admiral." Ghost Riley was already examining the new stealth suit laid out for her, her green eyes glittering with anticipation. Any intel on their security systems, weak points in their ship designs. Dr. Tanaka had made his way to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the holographic interface as he absorbed years of scientific advancements in a matter of minutes. Fascinating. Their biomechanical integration is unlike anything we've encountered before, but every system has a flaw. We just need to find it. Captain Vance remained silent, her silver eyes seemed to look through the Admiral rather than at her. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but carried an undercurrent of steel. "We're ready, Admiral. The Phantoms will not fail humanity in its darkest hour." Kira felt a weight lift from her shoulders. These 5 individuals represented the pinnacle of human genetic engineering, training, and technology. If anyone could turn the tide against the Zarketh, it was them. "Your first mission," Kira began, bringing up a holographic display of a Zarketh battle cruiser, "is to infiltrate and capture one of their ships. We need their technology, their tactical data, anything that can give us an edge." Hawk studied the display, his mind already formulating a plan. "It won't be easy, but we've done more with less. Ghost, you'll take point on the infiltration. Tank, you're our heavy hitter if things go south. Doc, I want you focused on their tech. Anything you can steal or sabotage. Lyra, do your thing." The team nodded in unison, a well-oiled machine despite their years apart. As the Phantoms prepared for their mission, donning advanced combat suits and checking their weapons, Kira couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. These soldiers were more than just humanity's best. They were the embodiment of human resilience, ingenuity, and determination. "One last thing," Kira said as the team prepared to board their stealth shuttle. She held up a data crystal, its surface etched with the image of a young girl. "This is Zara Reyes. She was killed on Nova Prime, one of the first human casualties of this war. Let her memory fuel your resolve. Show these aliens what happens when they underestimate humanity." Commander Hawk took the crystal, his eyes hardening as he looked at Zara's smiling face. He turned to his team, his voice ringing with authority and purpose. "Phantoms, you've all read the mission briefing. You know the stakes. But I want you to remember this. We're not just fighting for our own survival. We're fighting for every human child who will never know a world without war, for every colony reduced to ashes, for every dream cut short by these invaders." He paused, looking each team member in the eye. "The Zarketh think they've won. They think humanity will roll over and accept defeat. It's time we show them how wrong they are. We are the nightmare they never saw coming. We are humanity's vengeance. We are the Phantoms." With a chorus of affirmatives, the team boarded their shuttle. As the hangar doors opened, revealing the star-studded expanse of space, Kira watched the sleek vessel disappear into the void. "Godspeed, Phantoms," she whispered. "The fate of humanity rests in your hands." As the shuttle accelerated towards its target, the 5 super soldiers inside prepared for battle, each in their own way. They were the product of humanity's greatest scientific achievements, but more than that, they were the embodiment of the human spirit, unbreakable, adaptable, and fiercely determined. The Zarketh had awoken a sleeping giant. Now it was time for the giant to strike back. First strike. The Zarketh battlecruiser Void Talon hung in space like a malevolent specter, its biomechanical hull pulsing with eerie purple light. Around it, smaller craft swarmed like insects, maintaining a constant patrol. To the casual observer, the ship appeared impregnable, a fortress among the stars. But the Phantoms were far from casual observers. Their stealth shuttle, cloaked with the most advanced technology humanity had ever developed, slipped silently through the Zarketh defenses. Inside, the 5 super soldiers made their final preparations. Approaching insertion point, Ghost's voice was calm as her fingers danced over the shuttle's controls. 30 seconds to contact. Commander Hawk nodded, his face set in grim determination. "Remember the plan. We get in, we get the intel, we get out. No unnecessary risks." "Unless it's fun," Tank added with a grin, hefting his massive Gauss cannon. Hawk shot him a stern look, but there was a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. "Just try not to bring the whole ship down on our heads, big guy." As the shuttle maneuvered into position beneath the Void Talon, Dr. Tanaka activated a device on his wrist. A holographic display sprang to life, showing a detailed schematic of the Zarketh ship. "I've analyzed their energy emissions," he explained. There's a maintenance hatch here. He pointed to a spot on the lower hull. That seems to cycle every 47 seconds. If we time it right, we can slip in undetected. Captain Vance closed her eyes, extending her psionic senses. I can feel them, she murmured. So many minds, all connected. It's overwhelming. Hulk placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Stay with us, Lyra. We need you focused. She nodded, taking a deep breath. I'm all right. Their patrol patterns are randomized, but I can guide us through the gaps. That's our cue, Ghost said, initiating docking procedure, now. With surgical precision, she maneuvered the shuttle into position. There was a soft thud as magnetic clamps engaged, securing them to the Zarketh ship's hull. All right, Phantoms, Hawk said, his voice low and intense. Let's remind these bugs why humanity is not to be trifled with. One by one, they exited the shuttle through the airlock, their advanced suits protecting them from the vacuum of space. Ghost led the way, her movements fluid and silent as she approached the maintenance hatch. 15 seconds, Tanaka warned. Ghost's fingers flew over the alien control panel, her neural implants interfacing with the unfamiliar technology. Come on, she muttered. 5 seconds. With a soft hiss, the hatch slid open. We're in, Ghost announced, a note of triumph in her voice. The team slipped inside just as the hatch began to close. They found themselves in a narrow corridor, the walls pulsing with the same bioluminescent light as the ship's exterior. Creepy, Tank commented, his massive frame barely fitting in the confined space. Fascinating, Tanaka countered, already scanning their surroundings with his instruments. The entire ship seems to be a living organism, integrated with mechanical components. Save a science lesson for later, Doc, Hawk said. Lyra, which way to the command center? Vance's silver eyes glowed faintly as she extended her psionic senses. This way, she pointed down the corridor. But be careful, there's a lot of activity ahead. They moved swiftly but cautiously, their enhanced reflexes and Ghost's stealth technology allowing them to avoid the patrolling Zarketh soldiers. As they progressed deeper into the ship, the corridors widened, the organic architecture becoming more pronounced. Suddenly, Vance held up a hand, her face contorted in concentration. Wait, she hissed. Something's wrong. They know we're here. No sooner had the words left her mouth than alarms began to blare throughout the ship. The walls pulsed an angry red, and the sound of rapidly approaching footsteps echoed from all directions. So much for stealth, Tank grinned, powering up his Gauss cannon. Time for some bug squashing. Stick to the plan, Hawk ordered. We fight only if we have to. Our primary objective is still the command center. They pressed on, now moving at a run. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a squad of Zarketh warriors, their chitinous armor gleaming in the pulsing light. Humans. The lead Zarketh screeched, raising its bio-organic weapon. Intruders. I got this, Tank growled, stepping forward. As the Zarketh opened fire, he activated his energy shield, the alien projectiles dissipating harmlessly against the blue barrier. Then, with a roar that shook the corridor, he charged. The Zarketh, for all their advanced technology, were unprepared for the raw power of a genetically enhanced human juggernaut. Tank plowed through their ranks like a bowling ball through pins, his armored fists crushing chitin and circuitry alike. Ghost darted in and out of the melee, her stealth field rendering her nearly invisible as she struck with lethal precision. Hawk and Vance fought back to back, their movements a deadly dance of gunfire and psionic blasts. Tanaka, meanwhile, had interfaced with a nearby control panel. I'm into their systems, he announced. Uploading a virus now. It should buy us some time. As the last Zarketh fell, Hawk surveyed the carnage. Good work, team, but we need to move faster. How much further to the command center, Lyra? Not far, she replied, her voice strained from the psionic exertion. 2 more levels up. But there's something else, something powerful. I can feel it waiting for us. We'll deal with it when we get there, Hawk said grimly. Let's move. They fought their way through the ship, each phantom unleashing the full extent of their abilities. Ghost's stealth technology allowed her to sabotage key systems as they progressed. Tank's raw power cleared a path through the thickest resistance. Tanaka's technological expertise kept them one step ahead of the ship's defenses, and Vance's psionic abilities confused and disoriented the enemy, turning their own minds against them. Finally, they reached the command center. The massive door loomed before them, pulsing with energy. "This is it," Hawk said. "Whatever's on the other side, we face it together. For humanity, for Zara." With a nod to Tank, the big man stepped forward and, with a grunt of effort, forced the doors open. The command center was a vast, domed chamber, filled with holographic displays and writhing organic technology. And there in the center stood a figure unlike any Zarketh they had encountered before. It was larger, its carapace adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change. Multiple limbs ended in both organic and mechanical appendages, but it was the eyes that caught their attention, compound orbs that glowed with an inner intelligence that was both alien and terrifyingly familiar. So, the creature's voice reverberated through their minds, a mixture of clicks and psychic impressions. The humans send their champions. How predictable. Hawk stepped forward, his weapon trained on the alien leader. "In the name of humanity and all our colonies, I demand your surrender." The Zarketh commander chittered, a sound that might have been laughter. "Surrender? You misunderstand your position, human. You are not here as conquerors. You are here as specimens." With blinding speed, tendrils of energy lashed out from the walls, ensnaring each of the phantoms. They struggled against the bonds, but even their enhanced strength couldn't break free. "Your species intrigues us," the Zarketh continued. "Such potential, wasted on individualism and emotion. But we will strip away those weaknesses. You will be the first of a new breed of human, serving the glory of the Galactic Empire." As the alien monologued, Tanaka caught Hawk's eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. The commander allowed himself a small smile. "You know," Hawk said, his voice drooping with confidence, "for such an advanced species, you really need to work on your monologuing." It gave our tech expert just enough time to finish uploading his virus. The Zarketh commander's eyes widened as alarms began to blare throughout the ship. The energy tendrils flickered and died, releasing the phantoms. "Now," Hawk shouted. What followed was a battle that would be spoken of in whispered awe for generations to come. Each phantom unleashed the full extent of their abilities, fighting with a ferocity that seemed to transcend human limitations. Tank engaged the Zarketh commander directly, his augmented strength matching the alien's multiple limbs blow for blow. Ghost flitted around the chamber, disabling systems and striking from unexpected angles. Tanaka interfaced directly with the ship's systems, turning its own defenses against the Zarketh. Vance's mind became a weapon, assaulting the alien's psyche with the combined will of humanity. And Hawk, coordinating it all, fought with the skill and determination that had made him a legend. The battle raged on, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. But with every passing moment, it became clear that the Zarketh had underestimated their opponents. They had thought humans weak, divided, easy prey. Now they faced the full fury of humanity's finest, and for the first time, they knew fear. As the smoke cleared and the last of the alien defenders fell, Hawk stood over the broken form of the Zarketh commander. The alien looked up at him, its compound eyes flickering with dying light. "Impossible," it chittered. "You are just humans." Hawk's voice was steel as he replied, "We are humanity, and we're just getting started." With the command center secured, the Phantoms worked quickly to download every piece of intel they could. Star charts, weapon schematics, fleet movements, a treasure trove of information that could turn the tide of the war. As they prepared to evacuate, Tanaka turned to Hawk with a grin. "Commander, I think I've figured out how to pilot this ship. What do you say we bring home a souvenir?" Hulk looked around at his team, battered but unbowed, then at the vast array of alien technologies surrounding them. A slow smile spread across his face. "Phantoms," he said, "let's show humanity what we can do with some new toys. It's time to take the fight to the Zarketh." As the captured battle cruiser turned and set course for Earth, the first human-controlled Zarketh ship in history, a new chapter in the war began. The Phantoms had struck their first blow, and the galaxy would never be the same. The turning tide. The arrival of the Zarketh battlecruiser Void Talon in Earth's orbit sent shockwaves through the human defense fleet. Weapons locked on, fingers hovering over firing controls, as the massive alien vessel approached. Then, to the astonishment of every human watching, the ship's communication array crackled to life with a very human voice. "This is Commander Jason Hawk of the Phantom Team. Authentication code Sierra Tango 79er. We've brought home a present, folks." Cheers erupted across every human ship and station as the news spread. The Phantoms had not only survived their mission, but had captured an entire Zarketh battle cruiser. It was a turning point in the war, a moment that would be remembered in history books for centuries to come. As the Phantoms docked with Earth's primary space station, they were greeted as heroes. Admiral Chen was there to meet them, her usually stoic face breaking into a rare smile. "Outstanding work, Phantoms," she said, clasping Hawk's hand. "You've given humanity hope." Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Admiral, the wealth of knowledge we've acquired is staggering. With access to Zarketh technology, we can level the playing field." "Not just level it," Ghost added with a smirk. "We're going to tilt it in our favor." Over the next few weeks, human scientists and engineers worked around the clock, reverse engineering Zarketh technology and integrating it with human systems. The Phantoms were at the forefront of this effort, their unique abilities and first-hand experience proving invaluable. Tank worked with weapons developers, helping to create new armaments that could penetrate Zarketh defenses. Ghost collaborated with stealth experts, refining cloaking technology to counteract alien detection systems. Tanaka was in his element, diving deep into the alien computer systems and unraveling their secrets. Vance, meanwhile, worked with a team of human shins, developing new techniques to combat the Zarketh's hive mind tactics. And Hawk, drawing on his tactical genius, helped formulate new strategies that incorporated their newfound advantages. As word of the Phantom's success spread throughout human space, a wave of hope and determination swept through the colonies. Resistance movements, once scattered and disorganized, began to coalesce into a unified front. The story of 5 enhanced humans taking on an entire Zarketh battle cruiser became a rallying cry, a testament to what humanity could achieve when pushed to its limits. 3 months after the capture of the Void Talon, humanity was ready to launch its counteroffensive. The plan was audacious. A simultaneous strike against multiple Zarketh strongholds, using their own tactics and technology against them. The night before the operation was set to begin, the Phantoms gathered in a quiet corner of the space station, away from the bustle of last-minute preparations. "Hard to believe it's been only 3 months, Ghost mused, looking out at the stars. "Feels like a lifetime ago, we were in Cryo sleep." Tank nodded, his usual boisterous demeanor subdued. "Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we did enough, you know. If we could have woken up sooner, saved more lives." "We can't change the past," Hawk said, his voice firm but compassionate. "But we can shape the future. Tomorrow, we start taking back what's ours." Vance, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "I've been sensing something, a shift in the collective consciousness of humanity. It's like a fire that's been lit, a determination I've never felt before." Tanaka smiled. "That's the human spirit for you. Knock us down, and we come back stronger." As they talked, a young ensign approached, looking nervous but determined. "Excuse me, Phantoms. I have something for you." She held out a small, ornate box. Inside was a collection of patches, each bearing a symbol, a stylized phoenix rising from ashes with a young girl's silhouette at its center. "It's Zara," the ensign explained. "The girl from Nova Prime. Her story, it's inspired so many of us. We thought, maybe you'd like to wear these, to remember what we're fighting for." The Phantoms looked at each other, a moment of silent communication passing between them. Then, one by one, they took a patch, affixing it to their armor. Hulk turned to the ensign, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you. We'll wear them with pride." As the young woman left, visibly moved, the Phantoms stood in a circle, their new insignia gleaming in the starlight. "For Zara," Hulk said softly. "For humanity," the others responded in unison. The next day, as the human fleet prepared to launch its assault, news came in from the outer colonies. Inspired by the Phantom's success and armed with newly developed weapons, resistance fighters had begun striking back against Zarkef occupation forces. Reports flooded in of liberated outposts, destroyed alien supply lines, and even captured scout ships. Admiral Chen addressed the fleet, her voice broadcasting to every human ship and colony. "Today, we show the Zarkef and the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. We are not just fighting for our survival, but for our right to exist as free beings. Every one of you, soldier, scientist, colonist, has a role to play in this battle. Together, we will drive back the darkness and reclaim our future." As the human fleet surged forward, the Phantoms led the charge in their captured Zarkef cruiser. Hulk stood on the bridge, surveying the sea of stars before them. "All units, this is Phantom Lead. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and watch each other's backs. Today, we make history." The battle that followed would be etched into the annals of human history forever. Human ships, now equipped with reverse-engineered Zarkef technology, tore through the alien defenses with unprecedented effectiveness. Ghost's stealth innovations allowed strike teams to infiltrate key installations, sowing chaos behind enemy lines. Tank's new weapon systems shattered Zarkef hulls like never before. Tanaka's mastery of the alien systems allowed human forces to predict and counter Zarkef movements with eerie accuracy. And Vance, leading a cadre of human Xins, disrupted the aliens' hive-mind coordination, leaving them disoriented and vulnerable. But it was more than just technology and superpowered individuals that turned the tide. It was the indomitable human spirit, the refusal to submit, the ability to adapt and overcome that truly made the difference. Across the battlefield, acts of incredible bravery and ingenuity played out. A lone pilot, her ship crippled, rammed a Zarkef destroyer to create an opening for her squadron. A group of colonists, armed with little more than makeshift weapons and determination, overwhelmed an alien patrol and captured vital intelligence. Scientists worked tirelessly in the heat of battle, making real-time adjustments to counter new Zarkef tactics. As the conflict raged on, it became clear that this was more than just a victory. It was a fundamental shift in the war. The Zarkef, for the first time, were on the defensive. Their aura of invincibility had been shattered, and in its place grew a creeping fear of the species they had so gravely underestimated. Hours turned into days as the battle spread across multiple star systems. The Phantoms were everywhere, their legendary status growing with each impossible feat they accomplished. But they were no longer alone in their heroics. Everywhere, humans were rising to the challenge, pushing themselves beyond their limits. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of combat, the Zarkef fleet broke. Their remaining ships, battered and demoralized, fled into deep space, leaving behind a trail of debris and broken dreams of conquest. As the dust settled and the human fleet regrouped, the magnitude of their victory began to sink in. They had not just won a battle, they had changed the course of the war. Aboard the captured Void Talon, now christened the Phoenix, the Phantoms gathered on the bridge, battered but unbowed. Hulk looked at his team, pride swelling in his chest. "We did it," he said simply. "We showed them what humanity is made of." Jost grinned, her usual cool demeanor cracking with excitement. And this is just the beginning. Wait till they see what we do next. As celebrations erupted across human space, the Phantoms knew that their fight was far from over. The Zarketh would be back, possibly with reinforcements. But now humanity was ready. United, determined, and armed with the best of both human and alien technology, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The tide had turned. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, and the Phantoms, once a secret last resort, had become a symbol of hope for an entire species. As they set course for Earth, ready to plan their next move, the Phantoms carried with them not just the weight of humanity's expectations, but the burning desire to see this fight through to the end. The Zarketh had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the full fury of a species united in its quest for survival and freedom. The war was far from over, but one thing was certain: humanity would never again be underestimated in the cosmic arena. Heart of the Empire and liberation, the war against the Zarketh had entered its third year. Humanity, once on the brink of extinction, had clawed its way back from the edge and was now locked in a grueling stalemate with their alien adversaries. The Phantoms, legends in their own time, had led countless successful missions, but the Zarketh Empire seemed endless, always able to replenish their losses. Commander Jason Hawks stood before the holographic display in the war room of Earth's primary space station, his eyes scanning the latest intelligence reports. The other Phantoms were there too, each bringing their unique perspectives to the strategic planning session. "We've pushed them back from our core worlds," Ghost said, highlighting a section of the map. "But they're dug in deep along this sector. Conventional tactics aren't going to cut it anymore." Tank nodded in agreement. "We need something big, something they won't see coming." Dr. Tanaka, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly perked up. "I think I might have found something." He manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on a distant sector of space. "I've been analyzing the data we've gathered on Zarketh communications. There's a pattern here, a hub of some sort. I believe it might be their central command structure." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Vance closed her eyes, extending her psionic senses. "He's right," she said after a moment. "I can feel it. A concentration of minds, more powerful and organized than anything we've encountered before." Hawk's eyes narrowed as he studied the location. "If we could strike at their command structure, we could end this war," Admiral Chen finished, entering the room. Her face was grim but determined. "But it won't be easy. That sector is deep in Zarketh space, heavily defended. It would be a one-way trip for a conventional force." The Phantoms exchanged glances, a silent agreement passing between them. Hawk turned to the Admiral, his voice resolute. "Then it's a good thing we're anything but conventional. Admiral, request permission to lead a strike mission against the Zarketh Central Command." Chen looked at each of the Phantoms in turn, seeing the unwavering determination in their eyes. "Permission granted. But understand this, if you go, we won't be able to send reinforcements. You'll be on your own." "We started this fight on our own," Tank said with a grin. "Seems fitting we end it the same way." Over the next week, preparations were made in utmost secrecy. The captured Zarketh cruiser, now thoroughly modified with the best of human and alien technology, was readied for its final mission. The Phantoms trained relentlessly, pushing their enhanced bodies and minds to new limits. On the eve of their departure, a solemn mood fell over the human fleet. Word had spread of the Phantoms' mission, and though the details were classified, everyone understood the stakes. As the team made their way to the launch bay, they were met with salutes and words of encouragement from every human they passed. At the airlock, they found a surprise waiting for them. Hundreds of patches, bearing the phoenix symbol with Zora's silhouette, had been left by well-wishers. The Phantoms took a moment to affix these symbols of hope to their armor, a reminder of what they were fighting for. As they boarded their ship, now christened the Nova Prime, in honor of where this war began, Hawk turned to his team. Whatever happens out there, it's been an honor serving with each of you. We carry the hopes of humanity with us. Let's make it count. The Nova Prime slipped away from Earth under the cover of a massive fleet engagement, using the chaos of battle to mask its departure. As they entered faster-than-light travel, the Phantoms knew they were leaving behind everything they had ever known, possibly for the last time. The journey to the heart of Zarkath's space was fraught with danger. Multiple times they had to rely on Ghost's enhanced stealth systems and Tanaka's mastery of Zarkath technology to avoid detection. Vance's psionic abilities were pushed to their limits as she worked to mask their presence from the increasingly dense alien psychic network. As they approached their target, the true scale of the Zarkath Central Command became apparent. A massive space station, easily 10 times the size of anything humanity had ever built, hung in orbit around a dying star. Surrounding it was the largest concentration of Zarkath ships they had ever seen. "Well," Tank said, breaking the tense silence on the bridge, "I guess we found the hornet's nest. Who's ready to kick it?" Despite the gravity of the situation, the other Phantoms couldn't help but smile. Leave it to Tank to find humor in the face of overwhelming odds. Hawk laid out the plan. Using a combination of Ghost's stealth tech and a daring maneuver through the star's volatile corona, they would approach the station undetected. Once inside, they would split into 2 teams. Hawk, Ghost, and Tank would fight their way to the central control room, while Tanaka and Vance would head to the main data core. "Our primary objective is to neutralize the Zarkath command structure and gather as much intelligence as we can," Hawk explained. "If possible, we'll also look for a way to broadcast a signal that will disrupt their hive mind network across the Empire." Any questions? There were none. Each Phantom knew their role, understood the risks, and was prepared to give everything for the mission's success. The approach to the station was a masterclass in piloting and stealth technology. Ghost guided the Nova Prime through gaps in the Zarkath patrol patterns that seemed impossibly small. Tanaka's modifications to their engines allowed them to withstand the intense heat and radiation of the star's corona, and Vance's psionic shielding kept them hidden from probing alien minds. They docked with the station at a little-used maintenance airlock, the Nova Prime's systems interfacing seamlessly with the Zarkath technology. As the Phantoms disembarked, the enormity of their task settled over them. They were 5 humans, about to take on the heart of an alien empire. "Remember," Hawk said as they prepared to split up, "whatever happens, we've already won. Humanity has proven itself. Now let's finish this fight." With a final nod to each other, the 2 teams set off on their respective missions. Hawk, Ghost, and Tank encountered heavy resistance almost immediately. The station's defenses were unlike anything they had faced before, with living walls that shifted to block their path and automated defense systems that seemed to anticipate their every move. But the Phantoms were not easily deterred. Tank's raw power smashed through barriers both organic and mechanical. Ghost flitted through the chaos like a wraith, her attacks precise and devastating. And Hawk coordinated their efforts with the tactical brilliance that had made him a legend. Meanwhile, Tanaka and Vance made their way towards the data core, using a combination of technological skill and psionic manipulation to avoid the worst of the fighting. When they reached the core, they found a sight that took even their breath away. A massive, pulsating organ that seemed to be a blend of biological and technological components. "It's beautiful," Tanaka whispered, his scientific curiosity momentarily overriding his mission focus. Vance nodded, her silver eyes wide and terrifying. "I can feel the thoughts of the entire Empire flowing through it. We need to shut it down." As Tanaka began the delicate work of interfacing with the alien systems, Vance stood guard, her mind extended to its limits to shield them from detection. Back in the corridors, Hawk's team fought their way ever closer to the central control room. They had faced wave after wave of Zarkath defenders, each more desperate than the last. Tank's armor was scorched and dented, Ghost's stealth field flickered from overuse, and even Hawk's seemingly limitless endurance was beginning to flag. But then they saw it, the massive doors that could only lead to their objective. With a renewed surge of energy, they launched their final assault. The battle that followed would be spoken of in hushed tones for generations to come. 3 humans, enhanced but still mortal, against the elite guard of an alien empire. Tank became a whirlwind of destruction, his massive frame seeming to fill the entire corridor as he smashed through the Zarketh lines. Ghost's movements were a blur, her attacks coming from impossible angles as she danced between dimensions. And Hawk, his tactical genius melding seamlessly with his combat skills, orchestrated their efforts like a conductor leading a deadly symphony. Finally, with a last earth-shaking blow from Tank, the doors to the central control room crumbled. The Phantoms surged forward, ready for the final confrontation. What they found inside, however, was not what they expected. The room was vast, filled with swirling holographic displays and pulsing organic technology. But at its center stood not some monstrous alien warlord, but a being that seemed almost frail in comparison to the Zarketh they had fought. It turned to face them, its compound eyes reflecting the chaotic lights of the displays. When it spoke, its voice was not the harsh screech they were accustomed to, but a soft, almost melodious tone that reverberated in their minds. "So, the humans have come at last. We have been waiting for you." Hawk raised his weapon, but something held him back from firing. "Who are you?" he demanded. "I am the Overmind," the being replied, "the living heart of the Zarketh Empire. And you humans have proven yourselves worthy adversaries." Before the Phantoms could respond, the doors behind them opened again. Tanaka and Vance rushed in, their faces a mix of excitement and concern. "Commander," Tanaka called out, "we've done it. We've accessed the main data core. We can shut down their entire network from here." The Overmind tilted its head, an oddly human gesture. "You could," it agreed, "but before you do, perhaps we should talk." What followed was a conversation that would reshape the understanding of both species. The Overmind explained that the Zarketh Empire, for all its apparent aggression, was driven by a deep-seated fear. They had expanded and conquered out of the belief that only through unity, forcibly imposed if necessary, could the galaxy survive some greater threat that lurked in the darkness between the stars. "We saw in humanity a reflection of ourselves," the Overmind said. "Your potential, your adaptability, your indomitable will. We sought to absorb you into our collective, to harness your strengths. But in doing so, we underestimated the very qualities that drew us to you in the first place." The Phantoms listened, their weapons lowered but not forgotten. It was Vance who broke the silence that followed the Overmind's revelation. "I can sense the truth in its words," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "There's so much fear, but also hope. Hope that we might succeed where they have failed." Hawk stepped forward, his eyes locked on the alien being. "You're saying that this entire war, all the death and destruction, was some sort of test?" The Overmind's form rippled, a gesture that might have been a shrug. "Not a test, precisely, but a crucible. One that you have emerged from stronger than we could have imagined. And now we find ourselves at a crossroads." Tank growled, his patience wearing thin. "Crossroads? You invaded our worlds, killed our people. Give me one reason why we shouldn't end this right now." "Because," the Overmen said simply, "united, we might stand a chance against what is to come. Divided, we will surely fall." A tense silence fell over the room as the Phantoms absorbed the implications of the Overmind's words. It was Ghost who finally broke it, her voice uncharacteristically uncertain. "So what now? We just forgive and forget? Form some kind of alliance?" Hawk shook his head. "No, too much blood has been shed for that." But, he turned to the Overmind, "If what you're saying is true, if there really is some greater threat out there, then maybe we can find a way forward, not as conqueror and conquered, but as reluctant partners." The Overmind's form pulsed with what might have been relief. "It is more than we dared hope for. We offer you this. We will withdraw from all human-controlled space immediately. We will share our technology and knowledge freely to help you rebuild and prepare. And when the time comes, we will stand with you against the darkness." Tanaka, who had been quietly working at a nearby console, spoke up. "Commander, I hate to break up the diplomatic breakthrough, but we've got a problem. The station's power core is destabilizing. I think our attack triggered some kind of deadman's switch." Alarms began to blare throughout the station, and the holographic displays turned an ominous red. The Overmind's form flickered, its voice urgent. "You must go. Take what data you can and leave this place. We will coordinate the withdrawal of our forces." Hulk looked at the alien being, years of conflict warring with the potential for a new future. "And you? Will you survive this?" The Overmind's form began to fade. "This physical form is unimportant. Our consciousness will survive in the network. Go, humans. Prepare your people. We will meet again when the true war begins." With that, the Overmind vanished, leaving the Phantoms alone in the rapidly deteriorating control room. "You heard the bug," Tank said, hefting his weapon. "Time to make like a bad smell and disappear." The run back to the Nova Prime was a blur of collapsing corridors and exploding systems. The Phantom's enhanced abilities were pushed to their absolute limits as they navigated the dying station. They reached their ship with barely moments to spare, Ghost's piloting skills tested as she maneuvered them through the chaos of the disintegrating Zarkef fleet. As they jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving behind the blinding explosion of the Zarkef command station, the Phantoms finally allowed themselves to breathe. They had done it. Against all odds, they had not only survived, but had potentially changed the course of galactic history. The journey back to Earth was filled with intense debriefings and heated discussions about the revelations they had uncovered. The data they had retrieved from the Zarkef systems would keep human scientists and strategists busy for years to come. As they approached the outskirts of the Sol system, they were met by a hero's welcome. The entire human fleet had turned out to escort them home, ships of all sizes forming an honor guard as they made their final approach to Earth. Admiral Chen was waiting for them as they disembarked, her usual stoic expression replaced by one of profound respect and gratitude. "Phantoms," she said, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent Hangar Bay. "On behalf of all humanity, welcome home. And thank you." The debriefing that followed lasted for days. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials from every human world listened in awe as the Phantoms recounted their mission and the unexpected outcome. There was skepticism, of course, and heated debates about how to proceed. But in the end, the evidence was undeniable. The war with the Zarkef was over, but a greater challenge lay ahead. In the months and years that followed, humanity underwent a transformation. The technology and knowledge gained from the Zarkef accelerated human development at an unprecedented rate. Colonies were rebuilt, stronger than ever. A new era of exploration and innovation began as humanity prepared for whatever threat lurked in the depths of space. The Phantoms, their mission finally complete, were offered a choice: return to Cryo sleep until they were needed again, or help lead humanity into this new age. Their decision was unanimous. "We've seen too much, learned too much, to go back to sleep," Hawk told Admiral Chen. "If you'll have us, we'd like to stay and help prepare for what's coming." And so, the legends who had saved humanity from extinction became the architects of its future. Tank oversaw the development of new defense systems, turning his experience in combat into innovations in protection. Ghost revolutionized stealth and reconnaissance technology, ensuring humanity would never again be caught off guard. Tanaka led the effort to integrate Zarkef biotechnology with human systems, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Vance established a new academy for psionic individuals, cultivating humanity's latent mental abilities. And Hawk, with his unparalleled tactical mind, became a key advisor in shaping humanity's new role in the galaxy. Years passed, and the predictions of the Overmind proved true. Strange signals began to be detected from the edges of known space. Disturbing reports came in from long-range scout ships. Something was stirring in the cosmic darkness, something ancient and terrible. But this time, humanity was ready, united, tested by fire, and armed with the combined knowledge and technology of two civil